Just so you guys know that I'm not just talking about the TV show The Stand, just plain old out of nowhere like I read it off of a Wikipedia page. No, I actually have the show. It's by far one of my favorite Stephen King DVDs that I have on my shelf. But anyway, as I'm going to continue on with this show every single day because just like the real story of The Stand, it just does not stand still. Okay, all bad jokes aside, let's continue on with the third episode, part 3. So The Stand Part 3, aka The Betrayal, is the continuing story of our main characters trying to make it to Boulder. Basically, half of them are already there, but now we are following Stu, Franny, Harold, Glenn, Kojak, and a bunch of other people head to Boulder. And this is where some major issues of the show really does show, because Stu is talking to this one woman that just appears out of nowhere in this episode, and they talk as if they knew each other for a couple of weeks. In fact, all of them talk as if they knew each other for the longest time. And immediately I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have no idea who any of these people are. Had the show would have made a 5th episode, I think it would have made a bigger impact, mostly because we would see how these characters would meet and how these friendships really started to bond. But either way, time is on the essence, so I don't think they really had a budget for a 5th episode. And just so you guys know, as soon as this episode keeps on going, you kind of forget the fact that those little problems are a problem, because you can tell that they have really good chemistry together. But anyway, we also find out in the very beginning, Stu finds out that Franny is pregnant. And this is where we kind of notice there is a little fling going on between them. I mean, there was a spark in the second episode when they first meet each other, but now you could definitely tell that they are in a relationship. And when she says she is due in January. And I have seen a lot of reactions, and I have seen a lot of friends who are watching the show for the first time. You could see the math going through their head when she says she's due in January, and then they go, "Wait a minute. This all started in May, and they haven't even met each other until June. So how is she pregnant all of a sudden, and how is she due in January?" Well, if anyone like me who has read the book, we would know that answer. Yeah. But anyway, this is where their romance starts, and I gotta say, I can definitely see it. I don't understand why two of the biggest stars in the show would not be able to get together. And that's where you kind of see Harold getting jealous. But I mean, of course Harold is going to get jealous. And immediately I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're not hiding any facts right here. We all know exactly who's going to betray who. But anyway, they finally get to Boulder, and now they're starting to start this little community. And this is another moment in this episode where I thought to myself, okay, that was quick. And that was when Stu and Larry, they are also walking right next to each other, and they're talking as if they have known each other for a couple of weeks. And I'm sitting here going, come on, these are one of the two main characters. We can't see how they met? Seriously. But anyway, as this community is growing, there is a special cameo in this episode. He also has a cameo in the next episode where it completely caught me off guard. And if you know anything about Stephen King's work or his movies and all such, you know exactly what cameo I'm talking about, and I guarantee you will love it. But also, this episode shows Nadine. Nadine is now in Boulder. She's trying to get Larry back, of course. However, Larry's already with another girl who he's married to now. I've only seen them in two episodes. I mean, in two episodes, aka 2 scenes. So yeah, I guess they're married now. That was quick. But anyway, like I said, The Stand would be impossible to do in just a 3-hour movie. I mean, this miniseries itself is 6 hours long, and the fact that they have to skip over things in order to fit it into 6 hours is nothing short of a miracle. I mean, I know for a fact that I am missing a whole lot of stuff, but the way it is acted, the way we are actually getting to places, this is definitely a show that knows how to move and knows how to keep our interest in check. But also, when Franny is getting her baby checked in one scene, she looks at the doctor and she's a little worried. She says, well, what if our babies are not immune? What if the flu comes back? What if it's not really gone? And I'm sitting there going, wait, the flu? What are you... Oh yeah, the pandemic! I completely forgot this is how it started. See, like I said, it gets you in the moment. You are there right now, and you kind of forget that just a couple episodes earlier, all of this stuff has happened that caused this apocalyptic scene to really go on. But anyway, as they're in the community, you enjoy it. You like seeing them. You like seeing them build back civilization, and you like to see our main characters are the ones that are running the show. But then again, they have a major problem on their hands, and that is Randall Flagg, the dude in the cowboy boots, who is now in Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, the devil would place himself in Las Vegas. I mean, where else would he be? But they kind of know that he's not just going to sit there on his side of the world, just pretending that they don't exist. Eventually, this is going to be a major problem, and that's where, like I said, the interest just keeps on building. As I have mentioned many times in these reviews, is that there were several moments in the book where I was thinking to myself, I'm going to pause here, I'm going to pause here, I'm going to pause here, but it just keeps on building your interest, keeps on building it up. And it got to this moment where I think to myself, okay, I'm going to find out who these spies are, because they're going to send spies to Las Vegas to find out what Randall Flagg is going to do. I said to myself, okay, we'll find out what the spies are. We are going to, and then I'm going to pause right there. Until one of the spies is mentioned, I'm just sitting there going, and pardon my language right here, I said, shit! And I had to continue on reading, because why the heck not? Because as it turns out, Tom Cullen is one of the spies. So yeah, I wanted to see him come back and everything. But there's also a moment in this episode where Mother Abigail has a moment of pride. Because she is like sitting on her porch, everyone is walking up to her, they can't believe that she is real. It's like that moment where you find out that something that you've been believing in for the longest time turns out to be real, and she feels like she has pride on her hands. And I keep reminding myself, she is over 100 years old. She's nearing the end of her life, and if she starts sinning in pride at this moment, that could be a very serious blow to her, because she knows that God really does exist, and she doesn't want to lose her position in heaven just because she feels like she has pride now, that she is some sort of idol or something to these people. So she kind of leaves for most of this episode, which is a major blow to the entire community. But they managed to come together, because like I said, the main characters are the leaders. But you kind of, and I know I've been talking a whole lot of good things about this episode, and you're probably wondering yourself, what about the betrayal? What's that about? Well, like I said, it is no secret at all. You know exactly who's going to betray who, simply because, well, jealousy and being thrown out and all that type of stuff. It was bound to happen. I can give you 3 guesses on who betrays who in this episode just by watching my review alone. But also, another thing I gotta bring up about this episode is that there is also a cleanup crew, people that go around to pick up dead bodies out of the houses and bury them and all such. And they did an insanely good job with it, because it's been a couple of months, so they don't exactly look like fresh dead bodies. No, they look like rotting corpses. And one moment that I absolutely thought was very interesting was when they turned the power on for the first time in so long. They have power, and it goes to other houses. Like, for example, a cooking machine is working, or a radio turns on, or just maybe even was it a vacuum cleaner that turned on? But anyway, all these appliances are being turned on in these houses with dead bodies in them, and kind of reminds you that, yeah, it moved that fast, so people did not have time to turn off their appliances. In other words, they have to go to all these places to turn it all off. So in other words, it's not like just because their community is there, they have the power back on, they have their own individual houses, that everything would go back to normal. No, they have a cleanup job to perform. And I love the fact that the stand does not hide that fact, and that it's just, we have a whole lot more serious problems to deal with. Just even though we have our community now, we have to solve all these problems. And at the very end of this episode, when the whole betrayal thing happens and all said, it's got to be one of the biggest surprising moments that I have actually seen in a TV show since the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. It came out as an absolute shocker, and I could not believe that there are so many things that just happened. But then you have Mother Abigail telling Stu, Larry, Glenn, and one other guy. I can't think of his name. Oh well, I'll come up with his name in the very next review. They have to go out there. They need to go to Las Vegas and to make their stand. I mean, we have already heard her say stand in the second episode, but in this one, it is brought up even bigger. They have to make their stand, and it is at this moment where you're thinking to yourself, okay, what is the stand? What is so big about making their stand? And with the title of the book being called The Stand, it's got to be something important. So in other words, you're just sitting down again and you're not stopping. You are just waiting for the next episode to happen. Like I said, this show is just moving and it puts you in the moment and you just have to see what happens next. So I gotta say, the third episode has a lot of mistakes in it, and I would have actually liked it a whole lot better had there been another episode in between the dreams and the betrayal, like a fifth episode in between, just to tie it all together. But hey, it still worked out great in the end. So I will say it is good, just not as good as the very first two episodes. But it does make it gain your interest for the last episode. So guys, The Stand Part 3, have you seen it? What did you think of it? And if I missed anything, comment them down below, and I'll see you in the next video.